Hello, hello, rats, and welcome back to another episode of Chatty Rats. I am your co host, Natalia.
And I'm Sheen. What's up, Mr. Talia? How's it going?
It's good. It's good. I guess we're here for like a mini episode. So excited. We're going to keep it short and sweet today. I'm a little sleepy baby lately, but I'm getting through it. I'm getting through it. How about you?
I'm good too. I was telling you earlier, I was like, girl, I've just been feeling so uninspired, but we've been talking about that for a few episodes. I feel like it's just one of those
Yeah.
phases. Something's in the air and we're going to get through it.
Some planet is on Gatorade right now because I've been feeling the same way. I've been blah about no matter what I do, I'm like, I hate it. So
Yeah. But I mean, I've talked about it a lot. I've just been in my reading era, gathering all the knowledge that I possibly can.
love
And
it.
I have a fun little topic for you today because I love to explore perspectives different from mine and be like, okay, what do I think about this if I like actually really learn it in depth?
I wanted to say to that, that's
Yeah.
one thing that I actually really value about you as a person. And
Aw.
this is why I love your mind because you'll read every side to everything. Like you're very open. So I really like to see something like that because it shows me intelligence. And I think it's something that we used to encourage, right? Like when we were in college, for
Mhm.
example, that is how we become smarter, how we form better opinions. So I like that even though we live in a very polarizing world, it feels like lately, where you're not even allowed to touch the other side, you have always come at life with just a true open mind.
Thank
And I think that
you.
makes you very intelligent. So just a little compliment to you before you start.
Thank you. But just okay, wait, one thing to say about that, because I was thinking about it this week. I was like, yes, I'm liberal, left-leaning, progressive girl,
Of
but I
course.
listen to Joe Rogan, and these podcast people typically think are right-leaning, which they're not. My whole thought with that was that people like box people based on these concepts they've heard of. If you're liberal, you don't listen to Joe Rogan, for example. Like all
Right.
the people that listen to Joe Rogan or like crazy conservatives, blah, blah, blah. So the point of it was in my mind, I was just thinking like people don't fit in boxes and people nowadays are so scared to like things or explore things that don't fit within their identity, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm articulating that
I
correctly.
think so. I think that you're leaning towards the fact that people have limiting beliefs. If you are this, then you're only allowed to touch this well. Um,
Yes.
I've been watching Game of Thrones and I'm like, wow, this is how people in the Game of Thrones world kept the low, under their power by limiting
Mm.
what they were allowed to touch and not touch. And that's actually how
Oh,
in the real world, I think how bad rulers controlled minds
yeah.
by not
Because it's
allowing
like,
us to
yeah, you're right. Because it's like when
read.
you're so polarized, you like don't even touch the other side's world and see why they believe what they believe in, right?
Yeah.
That's how wars start. That's how Civil War
Here we
starts. But
go.
anyways, I want to talk to you about this book. It's called Getting to I Do. And you said you had heard about it, right?
Yeah, I've heard about it. It was one of those books that when I was single, people would tell me I should read. I just never get around to it.
Really?
Yeah.
What did they say? Did they say, like, this will get you not single?
Basically, they were like, this is the fix. And I just never did it. Um,
Ah,
yeah. But I think it's because, honestly, not going to lie, now in hindsight, I think it's because I didn't like the title.
I
Uh,
agree. The title kind of cringes me out, but I started reading it because my sister recommended it and she was like, oh, it really talks about like the opposing energies in a relationship. And she was just basically like, you have to read it. But yeah, if I were to pick up this up, because the back says how to attract the right men, when you should make the first move and when you should not, why equality in a relationship may not be what you're looking for, blah, blah, blah. But starting off the bat, before I talk about it, I have a question to ask you, which is her premise of the book, basically. So, which is your greatest need in a relationship? So, in a romantic relationship, is your greatest need to be cherished for your feelings or to be respected for your thoughts?
I think Respected for my thoughts, I would say.
Interesting.
The way that I'm taking that is that I feel like I'm pretty emotionally intelligent. So I think a need that I have is that someone respects my mind and like how I think about things and my train of thought, if that makes sense. So I think that I would want to be with someone, marry someone that likes the way my mind works and like how I dissect the world. I think that's a very powerful thing in a relationship.
Okay, interesting. So basically, her premise, just to simplify it, is that one person has to be the one that wants their feelings cherished. That's their
Uh
greatest
huh.
need. And one person has to be the one that wants to be respected for their thoughts.
Interesting.
She says in a relationship, there's a like basically a president and a vice president, right? There can't be like two presidents
Okay.
ultimately. So her whole point is if you are in a relationship where both people want to be the president, you're going to lead into conflict later on. Or if you're with two people who are both like vice presidents, there's no decision
Right.
maker, there's no one that's like the leader in the relationship. And the thing is, which I like about her, and she does refer to them as like masculine and feminine
Yeah.
energies, but that doesn't mean a woman can't take the masculine quote unquote role,
Right.
because it's just that you have to establish which one do you want to be, so that way you can like look for a partner that has the opposite energy so the relationship is balanced. I did it with my parents, and my mom got respect for my thoughts, which is so true. She's the leader hands down, so that's the more masculine one. And then
Okay.
respected for my feelings is the more feminine energy, and my dad chose that one without even knowing that which was
Oh,
which.
wow.
And like I was like, that's so on point. It just makes so much sense about the relationship. So it is really
Interesting.
interesting that there is these two opposing sides. And if you like respect what each one wants, I could see how it could become more harmonious. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
I like that. I mean, let's get woo woo. In the woo woo world, they say that the moon is the feminine, the sun is the masculine, and like
Mm,
together, that's how they make magic. So if you look at the world, it is all about like balance. Like you can't have
yeah.
two of the same, like things have to complement each other. And that's how you can have like a successful, happy relationship in a sense, because then you allow that side the person cares about more to shine. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
In the same way that like I cannot force, for example, I cannot force you to be into like I want you to be an engineer, and it's like no, but I have the mind, I want to be a dancer. It's like you can't force a dancer to be an engineer and vice versa. uh
Exactly.
so yeah, I believe that.
One of her examples, which was cool, is like she starts off the book with this girl who saw this guy in like an event, went up to him and kind of like chased after him. And then she like went home with him that night. They had sex, they started a relationship, and she played this role of like the chill girl, but she
Hmm.
also was always there to take care of him and give him what he wants. So he saw her as someone like, oh, she doesn't need much. Like she's just chill. I'm just going to do my thing. But then, like, when she needed him to like cherish her feelings and like really be there for her, because she was ultimately more feminine, but she was presenting as masculine, like chasing him,
Mm.
just being the chill, cool girl. He was like thrown off by that because he was like, why are you all of a sudden like switching up on me? But it's like she was putting a mask on,
Yeah.
basically. I thought that was an interesting example because I feel like we were almost like, I don't know, our society trained us to be like the chill girl and to like
Ugh,
be
yeah.
cool and calm. And I think that really backfires because it's like if you're not showing up as your true self, that's going to bite you in the ass later on in these dynamics.
That's I feel like you can either be more in your feminine or more in your masculine. I think that we often associate the masculine to good, more powerful, and the feminine to
Mm-hmm.
weak. And I
Mm-mm.
think that train of thought is where we have to have a little switcheroni. I think that we
Yeah.
have to see them as like both equally good, they're just different.
They're just very, yeah, that's what it is. That's the thing. We all have both. It's just which one is like
Exactly.
more dominant. And I think they show up differently in different relationships because it's like with your friends, you can just be like more masculine potentially, right? Like you might be like the
Right.
leader with your friends, but when you're in a romantic setting, maybe you want the leader or you want to be the leader. It's like whatever you are more comfortable with it. And it doesn't mean that one is bad, one is good. But since our society is so masculine, I think masculine qualities are praised more because we live in a patriarchy, right? So it's
Yeah.
like success, achieving, all that is praised so high, while like feeling, creativity, those artistic things that are a bit more feminine are not typically seen as highly valued in our society, at least.
Yeah, and I that's just because historically it hasn't been. And maybe that's the problem with like understanding what role you play. I think it's clouded by that fear, right? Like if I say that
Mhm.
I'm a woman and my feminine, number one, am I anti-feminist now? Am I not being strong enough? Am I no longer a powerful woman? And when I hear that, I'm like, ew, no, thank you. Like, I want to be my masculine. Like, I want to be whatever. I want to have these like leadership type of traits.
Mhm.
But the problem is that once again, it's like how we view these things, not what they are. Because you can be very powerful being in your feminine, like you said. If being
100%.
being in your feminine means that you like tap into beautiful creativity, and that's what leads you to be so successful. That's amazing,
Yeah.
right? Think about like your favorite singers, artists in the world. Like they do tap into their feminine and to the highest, power in a
Mhm.
sense, and they're doing great. It's just how we perceive femininity. Femininity. I can't say words.
Yeah.
If we can start seeing that as like powerful, because ultimately, if we go back to the woo woo world, there's actually the most powerful, like Mother
It
Earth, like
is.
we give life. Like that's pretty badass.
Literally. Yeah. And like we 100% need a balance of both. And I think that's her point is in a relationship, if it's one or the other just dominating the entire relationship, it's not going to be like a balanced relationship. Because if you have two masculines, you're always butting heads. If you have two feminines, like you're just not
Just
going anywhere.
you're just
But
sitting, yeah.
but you need to have both, and and her point is like you need to figure out which one you are, and either choice is fine, but just make sure it's actually true to the authentic, like to who you are. Because she has
Yeah.
other examples where it's like someone thinks they're feminine as a woman, and then they realize like no, like I want to be the one that's like coming up with ideas for a relationship and like leading us and moving us forward, just to find the opposite of that. So
I like that. So the message is kind of to find out who you are, like what role do you lean in more in a relationship, and find someone that complements that.
exactly.
But don't take it so far as like that's the thing with identity, right? If you identify as more like feminine or masculine in a relationship, does not mean that you cannot show up differently in other things, like you said, with whether it be with
100%.
friends. Yeah.
Work, like I think most of us at work have to like show up in a masculine
Yeah.
space, right? That's usually how we like go out, achieve and do things, but ultimately we're always going to be using both energies. So it's different when it comes to relationships though. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And I think something to make clear, I think that
Mhm.
people think masculine equals men, feminine equals woman.
Yes. Okay, thank you
And
for
that's what
clarifying.
I want to debunk that right now.
Thank you.
It's like, think about it's a name, the name of the energy. I was going to say, because I think that that's why it has a negative connotation, right?
Mhm.
But that's not the case at all. That's the social construct. Putting women in one box and men in the other. We can actually tap into both. Bitch.
I agree. It's kind of like negative and positive ions, right? Like there's both. That's the same thing as like
Positive
math.
isn't good and negative is bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just, it is. Also, one other thing I want to say, because some people are like, oh, like this masculine and feminine, like energy thing is just the patriarchy repackaged. But my counter to that, at least from what I've gathered from this book, is that since we had the feminist movement, we have the choice of being like, no, I want to be the masculine. I want to be the breadwinner. I want to be the one that's like the leader in the household, and like there is space for that. So in my opinion, I don't think it is a patriarchy repackaged, because you have the choice of which one you want to be. You don't have to be a woman who's in her feminine. You can be a woman who's in her masculine. That's my little counter to that. Because some people
I
think
like
that like
that.
us pushing this feminine narrative on women is us basically telling women to go back to the house and the kitchen and just like do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can do that if you want, but you could also be in your masculine and be a boss ass bitch.
Yeah. Not that the other
This
isn't
is our
boss ass bitch, I guess. But like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's just,
truth. Yeah.
to clarify. But in the end, it's like all about choice. And we talked about that, having feminism be a thing equals that we can actually do whatever you want. That is the most powerful and beautiful thing, is that we have a choice now. Before, we didn't have a choice as women. So it's so cool that now we do. And that's what's powerful
Facts.
about it. We can be anything and just have to find someone that matches what that anything is for you, like what you want to be, someone that complements and matches that. I think that's true not just for like romantic. I think people think about this in romantic, but also friendships as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
my best friends in the world complement who I am and I complement who they are.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't
Truth.
mean they're lacking or I'm lacking. It just means that we're better together. Mic drop.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because, yeah, when you're a team, especially like in a romantic setting, like you want to be able to complement one another and build like a very strong team. So that's what it comes down
Yeah.
to. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I'll keep you updated. I haven't gotten to the parts where she talks about like how sex before commitment is bad and things
Right.
like that. So I'll be interested to check back in when I get to that part. But I just thought this initial part was interesting and I wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's always good. I feel like this is already like a pretty good conversation, and we hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. And like, let us know what you think. And hearing different perspectives and sides, I think that this is what gets the brain moving and rolling. And let us know what you think. We would love to hear.
That's all we have for today. Keep us posted. Let us know if you think you're more in your masculine or your feminine when it comes to romantic relationships, or if you even believe in this. You don't have to
Yeah.
believe in it, it's up to you. Love you, little rats. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.